folks, our month of titillating experimentation wraps up in what I can only describe as mayonnaise Ken Russell. If you watch Altered States and you're like, that's a bit weird and artsy for me, I would like that movie, but told in the most vanilla way possible. Brain Dead. So this is a movie. I think the coolest thing about the movie, obviously, is the cast. You've got the Bills, Paxton, and Pullman, which I never knew they had done a movie together, right? I thought that was kind of cool.
That was
and
fun. Yeah,
a
absolutely.
personal favorite of mine, a fully unhinged Bud Cort, right?
Yeah,
Of Harold and Maude fame, one of my 5 favorite movies of all time, right? So that was really fun to see, too. I can't believe I had never checked this movie out with just that cast alone. And the premise is very captivating, right? This is a man who is a neuroscientist of some sort, right? He's affixed to his jars of brains, right? And how they're people. They represent lives. There are things in those brains. There's gold in them there brains that we can go harvest and find and do God knows what with. The movie's not super clear on that.
Right.
So Bill Pullman is the brain scientist who is asked by Bill Paxton, who he doesn't really work for, but gets ensnared in this kind of corporate intrigue of this lawyer Halsey, right? Or this accountant Halsey, who may be a scientist or mathematician, blah, blah, blah. And then brain stuff ensues. And we're essentially doing this unhinged theater of the mind movie.
Kind of a Jacob's Ladder thing.
Yeah, which I think are very hard. Once you start telling me that the narrator's so unreliable as to never know if anything I'm watching is real, these movies are a fucking hard sell to me sometimes. I do think the cast of this movie is exceptional and pulls it through. What did you make of this movie? First thoughts.
Well, I don't know about you, but this is actually one of the VHS covers I remember really well.
Yes. Yeah, the guy's fucking... Because, again, that's like the first thing we see in the movie is this face splayed across this contraption.
Probably the best...
Guy's like, beep, beep, beep. He's poking the brain to make the face move.
Probably the coolest effect. Yeah, probably the coolest effect in the entire movie on Front Street. And you're like, all right, I guess we're just putting it all on red.
Yeah, they're kind of doing the head that won't die, Peter Weller RoboCop thing, and you're like, nice. Yeah. Oh, that's just for the box art? Okay, cool.
Just for the beginning.
Fuck me, I guess.
Yeah, it's not my business. Yeah, I don't know. Brain Dead's interesting. It's sort of one of those things where it's like a lot of half-baked ideas kind of like put together in this soup of a nearly palatable movie. Like, if you get Bill Paxton and Bill Pullman and Bud Cort to do a movie... And you're just like, I don't know, act weird like the entire time. You're like, cool. Like if you're fans of these guys, these are weird performances that like they're not the most memorable performances. I'll be honest.
They're all making bizarre choices in this film.
But it's also just one of those things. You're like, I don't. And here's the other thing: you don't really know where the movie's heading ever. Like when it ended, I was actually like, all right. I mean, that's an ending. Sure. Why not? Like there's scenes, there's things in this movie that just sort of don't gel. And I did want to ask you this because this is okay. So I read this. This is interesting.
There's a lot of things in this movie. This is the, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was making us believe he's not real.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the greatest trick that Brain Dead ever pulled is it also has no idea what's happening. So we can't possibly get ahead of it.
You're not wrong. So Julie Corman is an executive producer. Julie Corman is Roger Corman's wife or widow.
Yep.
So she was she got summer interns in the 80s to go through like hundreds of scripts. And she determined that the best one out of all the hundreds of scripts was this script, which was written in the 60s by Charles Beaumont for Roger Corman. Charles Beaumont wrote some of the most famous episodes of The Twilight Zone. Yeah. Most notably, the number 12 Looks Like You, which is probably the one that he's most well known for. But this is the best script that came out of that. So my question to you is, if he wrote this in the 60s, because, again, this was put in the 90s, 1990, the 60s is a much more fascinating time to set this movie. Do you think this movie becomes a much better movie? It's like a period piece. I don't know.
I do think this has like some hints of kind of those the 50s as they broke into the 60s, right? We start getting away from more of like the kind of rubber suit sci-fi stuff. It's like kind of this like a little bit of scary rubber suit monsters, right? I think we're on the verge of psychedelics entering the culture, right?
Very much.
I think there's a lot of that kind of stuff you see.
Yeah.
It is weird. The 90s-ness, it almost has... There were these movies that happened a lot in the 90s where the budget's just good enough and you recognize the actors enough. But you're like, this is like an early afternoon made-for-TV thing, right? Like, This is like a just throwaway, like, we'll put it on CBS after, cooking with whoever. And it is this bizarre, like, I think the movie suffers a little bit from the pedigree behind it.
Sure.
And if it were just like a random, like you just saw, like, look at this weird fucking 60s movie. This director made one movie and then fucked off to a hippie commune, whatever. You'd be like, all right, that's kind of cool and weird. And, people had like beards and shit. You're like, all right, that's the kind of movie. Again, I think it's something we saw a little bit in Demon Seed. Like a movie that just feels out of its own time, right? Like It was a little ahead. And I think that's kind of what this movie's dealing with too. Because let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens in the movie, right, is that Bill Paxton is this corporate raider. He's kind of a shithead. He lost this guy Halsey. He needs him so he can get all this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pullman goes and starts kind of interrogating him, blah, blah, blah. At one point, he walks out of his building, and he's just holding a brain in a jar, right?
Yeah.
And the homeless guy's like, that's my brain, ah! And Pullman gets hit by a car.
Yeah.
This is where the movie goes full Looney Tunes, and we don't know exactly what's happening. Because he's still interviewing Bud Cort, and they do this awesome open brain surgery thing where Bud Cort's doing the eternal sunshine of the spotless mind.
Yeah.
Which that stuff in the movie I think works well, where you're just kind of jumping around,
fun.
boom, boom, boom.
Absolutely.
Boom. Is this movie, though, like, am I mistaken? Is this movie just a guy is asked by his friend to investigate someone, gets hit by a car, and the whole movie we watch is just him having his final fucking ejaculate of thoughts?
I believe.
Because at the end, spoilers if you haven't seen this movie since fucking 1990, he just is dead from getting hit by a car. So like the whole movie we watch doesn't happen, and all the intrigue over who's Halsey, who's Pullman, or whatever the guy is, the like bloody suited man who ends up being his therapist when he thinks he's losing his mind. Yeah. I was like, all that shit has no fucking bearing on the movie. Like, that's the thing about the ending I thought was weird. They did the, like, there's a butterfly on his skull.
Yeah.
Right? This, like, kind of philosophical, like, am I a butterfly? What is dreaming? The whole universe is a wet dream, as Bill Paxton tells us. Is this whole movie just not happening? Where do you think the line of delineation is?
It's when he gets hit by the car.
Okay, because that's one of those, that's what I thought too, and I was like, that has to drop the movie's rating a little bit, like, just a hair.
I mean, it happens early enough in the movie where you're like, holy shit, we just watched, like, 70 minutes of a movie that was, like, not real. None of it's a consequence.
Yeah. Dude, it's
not
crazy because they set up this thing where, like, he's operating on Bud Cort. Yeah, and there's this really cool idea that they introduce in the film where Bill Paxton kind of has set him up, he realizes. Because Bill Paxton wants his company, New Genesis or whatever the fuck it's called.
Eunice,
right? Yeah. That's
what
right.
a cool name for a company.
Yeah, he wants to sell, some grandma name with the infinity logo.
Yeah, my fucking Aunt
Eunice to own what he says, like, one of the biggest growth sectors is plastic surgery, right? Cosmetic surgery. And he's like, if people are willing to pay that to change what their body's like, imagine if you could go in and get a personality transplant and blah, blah, blah. And, I was like, that's a pretty cool sci-fi idea. And they start doing the guy's like, well, besides ethical stuff, blah, 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 blah. And they have this bizarre, like, there's an operating theater in their boardroom, and everyone's watching as they cut open Bud Cort so they can get this information they need out of him, or annihilate his brain so he can't share it with competitors. And I was like, okay, this is fucking cool. Like, that could work. And after he does the surgery, Bill Pullman is looking into the theater where now he sees this imaginary figure that Bud Cort has been afraid of, who he claims killed his wife. Conklin, yeah. That guy killed his wife and whatever. Right. Bill Pullman is seeing it in the theater as no one else is. And I was like, okay, the guy who's playing God, he's dabbling in brains. He's starting to see, is this a shared thing? Is there some reality? Blah, blah, blah. The movie at the end of the film tells me that the movie ended before that even happened.
Yeah.
And the movie doesn't give you enough context to know who these characters, like, why is he writing these characters the way he is, and why that would matter to us. I think that's another problem.
In a normal situation for a movie like this, it would end with them going, yes, we heard him say names, like Eunice, people who he loved, perhaps. Like, all these things, like...
Yeah, you do a rosebud, right?
yeah. Like, that's how you're supposed to end those kinds of movies. Like, the fucking 8 that he keeps turning on the lab door. I'm like, hey, guys, knock it off.
Because it's the Infinity logo, get it?
Like, it's...
Yeah, is any of the movie real? Did that even happen? Like,
I mean, I think there's an argument to be made that maybe the whole movie is bullshit, and it's just literally a guy's like last like farts of a thought until he's just a brain sitting in. Okay, that's like this is the thing I don't.
With
truly, this is the
voiceover.
part. It ends in a way that I'm like, wait, what?
The ending where he has like a 1.5 minute voitzover. He's like, "What?
I
Where
think
am
I'm
I?
dead. I
think
I'm dead.
Am I dead or am I alive? It's the Spath Zarathustra, right? Like, it's like okay,
it's like this whiteout of his brain while he's doing, and I'm just like, and like 2026 audience is like, is he asking us? I'm not going to answer. Like, this is insane. Like,
well, it's also one of those. He's like,
you asking me?
Am I dead? Am I alive? Am I dreaming? And you're like, wow, that's fucking freaky, dude. Imagine if you were still a brain in a jar and you can't get no relief. You're still having to like think and have anxiety and be scared. And then the last line he has is, well, this ought to be interesting. And I was like, what kind of Weekend at Bernie's bullshit are we talking about? Like, it won't be interesting. You're going to sit in the gelatin mixture until they start fucking shocking you to make fucking faces move. Like, what the fuck?
Well, and this is why, like, I was like, this probably would have worked better as like a 60s period piece or like a Twilight Zone episode.
Or, like a 25-minute Twilight Zone episode. You're like, because that's what I thought, too. It's so funny you read that, because I was like, this plays so much like a Twilight Zone to me.
Yeah.
That just got, like, bloated. Like, so bloated.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing. Let's go through. So the strands are, he's a brain scientist who's in love with his brains. He talks to him. He believes they all have all this hidden personhood and like, residual energy, right? Okay, that's one. Bill Paxton's got to get information from this Halsey guy, right? That's 2. 3, Halsey's seeing a ghostly murderer named Conklin and telling him to be careful of Eunice. Nothing's what it seems, right? Okay. Then we add in Bill Pullman thinks that Bill Paxton's fucking balling his wife, right? Then you add in the car crash. Then you add in the brain surgery thing where he can do cosmetic brain repairs. Right? You're like, okay, now Bill Pullman is in the fucking institute and he might be Halsey and nothing matters, right? You're talking, there are 7 to 8 separate storylines that do not really bounce off each other or have a lot of like the Venn diagram on these. It's like, why are there 7 circles on this sheet? Yeah,
well,
why are there like 7 circles? Where's my fucking Venn diagram? They go, sir.
It's like one circle that goes inward and inward. Yeah.
It's just a spiral. It's like none of the. But that's what's the movie's serving so many masters.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. Is like there's so much good filmmaking happening at times, but the pacing of the film becomes such a fucking slog because every time they reset, you're like, but what's the base reality that I'm attached to?
Okay, here's my question for you. Because this obviously was written to be a longer Twilight Zone episode. Here's my question. At what point in this movie does Rod Serling come in and do the voiceover that he would do at the beginning of every episode? Because to me that's I think that actually is a interesting, there's a thought to that story point, which is This is how you set up every Twilight Zone episode. Where do you do that, though? Because here's my thing. In my opinion, you chunk out a bunch of the Top's preamble, and you do it right after he gets hit by a car. You're like, consider for a moment Dr. Rex Martin. Like, and that was like, after he gets hit by the car.
Consider for a moment.
Dr. Rex Martin as a top neurosurgeon. However, what he doesn't realize is he's about to spend an eternity in the one place that neurosurgery doesn't matter. That's the Twilight Zone. And like, that's
dude, that's such an interesting experience.
I feel like
for
it
me,
happens
I would do the
after he gets
boardroom.
hit. Oh, okay.
I would do.
Okay.
So for me, it'd be all of the executives watching, and he's like, brain power equals money. We all know that. But what if it's not your brain power, right? He's just ripping darts and shit. And it's like, sir, this is an OR. You can't be ripping darts in an OR, right? He's like ashing into Bud Cort's open brain. Yeah.
Holy shit, how long have you been here?
Thing.
Quite a while.
Yeah. This is my third pack. Surgery takes a long time. No, but I would say he does it there, right? And it's in a world where we're so worried about beauty on the outside, what about what's inside? Dr. Rex Manning is about to find out. He's just ripping darts. But that's the thing, right? The guy who plays with the mind, trifles of the mind, is now haunted by a ghost.
Right.
Right? Who thinks that, like, his wife is doing all this shit. Like, again, honestly, I would take the wife and Bill Paxton thing out. It offers so little
useless
to the film.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, there's just one scene where they're fucking.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's kind of cool. And then they're dead, and we don't even see the murder. And, like, some random guy knocks on his door, like, what's your problem, pal? And he's just holding a bloody ice pick, and I was like, who the fuck is that guy?
It doesn't matter.
But
like, we get to the end of the movie.
You just chunk it out, and it's him and Bud Cort is his patient. Yeah. This genius scientist that went, or mathematician, whatever, he went too far. And Pullman's trying to, like, pull information out of him. In the course of that, he starts sharing the same hallucination, right? And it's this whole, the mysteries of nature and the brain and this and that are bigger than what science says it is.
Right.
And there's some kind of congealing of that. And at the end, Bill Pullman can be, he could be a child. He could be a person on their deathbed. He could be whatever, right? This is his last moments. I think that's the Twilight Zone stuff. And then, to make it a feature film, they just added, like, what the fuck was with...
I think that's what it is.
The Conklin and the bloody suit at the restaurant and all this, like, crazy shit.
You're adding things to basically extend the runtime, not to actually add to the story in any way. Like, this could have been... This is like a 40-minute... It's like a 40-minute Twilight Zone episode, which is cool. Like, I mean, like, why not?
Yeah.
But it is just, like, to extend... Because, like, I think the movie's like an hour and 4 minutes. So you really do just, like... You're, like, stretching the runtime to the point where you're like, there's really no reason to do this. It's just because we didn't have enough, like, Adam Simon read the script and, like, Charles Beaumont wrote it. Like, oh, I love Charles Beaumont. But you know what I could do? Boobs. I could add boobs. It's 1990, you know? Like,
I mean, great move. Great move. Rod Serling's just like, nice. Sick knockers. Whatever they called tits back
Consider,
then.
if you will, boobs. You can just hear, that's what it is. Serling's ghost is standing behind Adam Simon. Like, let me make a suggestion I made to Beaumont many years ago. Boobs. It's just...
Consider, if you will, letting me jerk off in this corner here. They're like, Rod, no! Rod, stop! It's like, they're pretty sick knockers.
But it does. It's like it's a Twilight Zone episode. Just but all the stuff that gets added to make it a movie makes no sense other than just like extending runtime and like it's like stuff you can add to a movie that makes it movie-ish. But but you could have just again.
Well, they just keep adding Act 2 breaks. There's like 4 Act 2 breaks, right? Where it's hit by the car, the cosmetic brain surgery. Then it's like, oh, he killed his wife.
Yeah.
That's an act. Like, they just keep adding, like, oh, this is where the movie starts, right? In screenwriting parlance, right, if you're familiar with, like, a saves the cat structure, right? This is the fun and games. Like, this is the movie you were promised, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, they just do that beat so many times. So you just keep resetting. And again, it's so fun because visually, I think the film, the transitions as he, like, wakes up, right? The stuff in the movie that really works is when he wakes up in the hospital and the blood-soaked Conklin is actually his therapist. He's like, yeah, I know. You have this fantasy all the time. Bill Paxton is, like this little sniveling wimp with the clipboard. And he sees all these things. He runs in and sees like a torture dungeon. And at one point he opens a door and he's like hanging on for dear life. So he falls into an ocean and Bud Cort's in his room and then he's not. Like that stuff is really cool. They're doing essentially like a Gothica, right?
Yeah.
That Halle Berry movie where it's, and again, that stuff to me always, I think that's the other thing this movie thrives on is that I think this is such a universal fear for every person.
Sure.
That like, I just wake up in a room and they're like, everything you think is a lie. Like, you're a crazy person who lives in this little room strapped to a bed. Like, that is so fucking scary. And those parts of the movie, like, I was like, oh my God, what the fuck's he going to do? What are you going to do? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And it just keeps fucking getting in its own way. It's a movie that somehow keeps stepping on its own tiny dick over and over and over. And it's like, how is that possible? How is that possible?
I think because there's probably the core of this is probably a decent story that lasts the length of a television episode. So when
I really think that that's the crux of what we keep coming back to for sure.
Yeah, like the little pieces, the core of the story itself is really good. And actually, again, the ending would work if it was like a Tales episode or a Twilight Zone episode, like any of those anthology shows, the ending would work. The problem is you just have all this extra stuff peppered in and you're like, yeah, like not only that, there's no time for some reason there plenty is, by the way, there is plenty of time. No explanation for why like any of these things, like there's no explanation for time loss or anything like that. There's just, that's the thing that is actually the thing that this movie kind of needed was that little 60s psycho touch of like a doctor coming like, well, at the end, he was okay. However, he just had a weird thing and he died. And then like you see the iconography of the entire movie all over the room or something like that. Like any of those sort of like explanations that are fun and kitschy for 1990 that like were totally relevant in the 60s because we just didn't know enough. We still don't know enough.
There was a lot of mind-altering things happening where people are like, oh my God, the world's gone from black and white to fucking, splooshy jizz technicolor, whatever that thing was, where it was like all the fucking colors jizz together, and it was like, like those Austin Powers interstitials and shit, and you're like, all right, cool. There is, I think that's the thing, too, for a movie, because that's the thing, the movie starts, and it's like this guy who, like, clearly is, like, not gonna, he drops brains, and it's like a big deal, right? There's a lot of brains exploding out of jars in this. And you're like, it felt a little bit with that in the face. You're like, oh, this is going to be kind of like a more for mainstream audiences Reanimator.
Sure. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Like, I'm vibing this. And then you're like, wait, no, it's going to be more of a thriller. No, okay, it's going to be more of a, watered down Ken Russell thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, all right. And you keep waiting for the movie to figure out what it wants to be. And it is just engaging enough that, like, you never fall out all the way. And then it ends, and you're just like, they just never settled. And it's hard, because this might as well be an anthology film. It's just vignettes of different things that don't quite fit together.
The other thing that this really bummed me out. I was so upset that they did not bring back the opening face gag. Like, I'm like, that feels like...
I did think that'd be cool. But what if the whole movie... That's the Twilight Zone thing, right? Is that...
Yeah.
Pullman is the fucking face, right? And, like, he thinks he's living this whole thing, and really what it is...
See, that would have been... That's the wraparound. With him. Yeah.
Yeah. And the last thing you see is that Bill Pullman's face is there instead of in the fucking brain jar.
That's the worthy wraparound, and that's, I think, like, the biggest kind of, like, sin the movie has. Is, like, it does not wrap itself... It doesn't wrap itself correctly. It wraps itself, but in a way that's like totally unjustified and sort of needless. Like you're just like, why isn't he the face? That's like, it's the image on the poster.
Yes,
it's
it starts there, and instead of yelling at some other guy, he's like, I respect brains. He's the guy kind of torturing the brain.
Yeah.
Goes through this whole like hallucinatory journey, and we find out at the end that now someone's doing to him what he's done to them. That's how all of these, kind of morality anthology shows, Tales and Twilight, that's how they all work, right? And they work for a reason, because it's just punishments, right?
Yeah.
Like, we just watched Obsession in the theaters, right, for New Movie Monday. This will be a couple weeks before you guys hear this. And it was one of those, too, where I was like, great movie. I liked a lot of it. but like kind of the horror elements get in the way of it at times. And then the ending, you're like, that's such an unsatisfying ending. Like the person who is not getting the karmic desserts you want, right? Where you're like, it's just kind of gross and cringy and like what? That's what this one's suffering with a little bit. And again, there's one more thing I do want to get to though. This is without a doubt one of the weirdest Bill Pullman performances. Like before we even start the theater of the mind, like he's playing such a weird, like kind of cocksure nerd. Like it's such a bizarre, and his charm is like completely lost on him. I actually kind of was like, this to me is like watching Bill Pullman do a Crispin Glover role, which is so insane. Like there's a scene where Bill Paxton comes to see him, and he does this thing. He's in a chair like this. And at one of the points, the staging, Bill Pullman goes, and he sits like this. He falls back into the chair and has his little legs up like this. And he's talking to this guy who's like a corporate raider that tried to fuck his wife. And I was like, why is he sitting in the chair like that? Like my fucking 8-year-old does. And it's just like one of those movies. You're like, oh, this is just going to be wild Bill Pullman. Because Bill Paxton is one of those guys throughout his career. He has a lot of weird, all over the place roles. Like he picks a lane. He makes really fucking strong choices, right? Whether this is kind of more in the Chet from Weird Science school, I think.
Yeah.
You know, because Bill Paxton's just doing the, like, I got slick hair and I sling dick. And I was like, get it. Bud Cort's doing the classic, like, I'm in an asylum, like almost a Peter Lorre thing. Yeah. That worked great. Bud Cort is such a good actor. I wish he had been in more stuff. I think he's such a great, like, he's just one of those guys that just has that unique face and look that works. Bill Pullman, to me, though, supposed to be like our Michael Douglas, our Harrison Ford, like this weird, like, thriller leading man who's just playing this role in a way that I'm not articulating well. But, like, you just watch it, and it's just such a fucking bizarre series of choices. Did you think that at all watching the movie?
I did, but I assumed, and this was probably, like, why it was kind of in the pocket for me, because I assumed he was just doing, like, TV, like, you know, it's like a Tales from the Crypt performance. All those guys go on Tales from the Crypt and go against type. Like that Joe Pesci episode of Tales from the Crypt is so against type. It's like, hey, what's the most extreme version of Joe Pesci we can do? Oh, you do that, like that kind of thing.
Hey, he's doing both. Hey.
Yeah, Bill Pullman is doing like the performance he would have given in a Tales episode of like, okay, I'm like a nerdy scientist who's a little not right. Like you're like, okay, cool, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
you're so like, this is not my president. This is not my president.
This isn't. Yeah, no, this isn't the guy from Independence Day. This isn't While You Were Sleeping guy. Like, this is just like, this is. He's like, it's like, I'm taking an afternoon off from being the completely charming dude, and I'm just gonna be whatever the hell this thing is. Like, it's It's a.
He's
really
literally doing
thing.
like a very like not operatic Herbert West.
Ooh, nice. I was actually going to say,
like
you know what he's doing?
Very fucking mundane Herbert West.
That's good. I was going to say he's doing like, this is a weird one. I was going to say he's doing like Tate Donovan in Love Potion #9. Like, why are you doing that? Like, Tate Donovan already did it. Like, it's just one of those things where you're just like, why are you doing that performance? It's a
that is the weirdest pull. I'll never forget. I was at a Ball State class. We were doing screenwriting, and we were talking about like some screenwriting things. And I go, oh, like how they did it in Waxwork too. And some guy just laughed at me, and I was like, what? And he's like, really, guy? Like, we get it. You have a fucking video store membership. I was like, all right, man, fuck off. I was not trying to be cool. Right? I had just watched it, and I was like, oh, they did that in this movie Waxwork too. And the guy in the class was like, stop being a cunt. Like, that's not a cool, like, it's not like you dropped Bergman. You're talking about Waxwork too. And I was like, all right, I see what he's saying, though. But
sure.
That's kind of like,
it's
who would have thought a Love Potion #9, Tate Donovan, was coming? That's an obscure
It's
pull.
a very obscure one. But it's literally the only thing I can think of, like, who's like a weird little, you know, goofy scientist part that also is like trying to find a way to be charming. And like, again, it's so strange.
You know what?
Because
now that you
Bill
mention
Pullman's,
it,
like,
it's a little Vincent Pricey. Like, there's a version of this, like a completely like flatlined Vincent Price character.
Yes, absolutely. No, I like that. Which, again, Charles Beaumont wrote Red Mask of Death, so.
There you go. Yeah, it does feel, I don't know.
I really
there's something about
we're
it.
missing
but
a
again,
Rod Serling.
Yeah, with the soup of like all the kind of like poppycock, it's still a really interesting movie to me.
Still
like I still really enjoyed my time watching it.
Yeah,
and I did like. There's just something about that setup. Like, when will it ever not be scary? To just think, it's like the thing when I have these fucking nerds that are my friends that they're like, this is like, you know, if it can be a simulation, that means like that's what they always say too. They're like, if there's a probability, even a small one, that this is a simulation, that means the probability is like almost 100%.
Right.
That this is I don't know how they do that math. They're like, if it's possible, then the probability goes. It's like one of those things I'm sure Elon said, and someone picked it up or whatever. And I was just like, guys, like just think about this for half a second. Like just think about it. I was like, why would any entity waste any processing power on my stupid life? Like they just want to see a guy who takes like fucking 10 dumps a day, has some cigarettes, lays on the couch more than he should. Like there's no part of the universe, there's no portion of the world where wasting computing power, even like a little tiny bit on what I'm doing day to day, is worth anything. Guys, like what are we doing? What are we, and I think I probably am not even in the bottom half of least interesting human beings on planet Earth.
I feel like if I'm a battery, if I'm a battery, The Matrix, I'm like powering something really small. Like
I feel like at some point they're gonna be like, stop giving him the pink goo. He's just a drain on the system. Flush his ass. You know, like I'm gonna get liquefied for the rest. Yeah, it's like it's just something so dumb about it. Just so I don't know. Well, I don't know. Again, that theory though of like this is all a lie.
Yeah,
always will be scary to me. And so these kind of movies, even if they're not clicking on all cylinders or firing on all cylinders, I'm mixing my fucking bad metaphors now, still do work. Like there is a visceral gut reaction to that always is terrifying to me.
I mean, yeah, it is. Like, look, I don't believe in any of that red pill shit, but yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's a strange...
Yeah, I think life almost makes too much sense to me.
Yeah.
Because I just this is just it's too logical how annoying everything is.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, what's the most messed up moment in Brain Dead?
You know what I was really into? Was that Bud Cort sequence where he's just like where he's like on the ocean. I love that shit. Like if you put kind of stuff in a movie, I'm gonna watch it.
So this is when he's getting
brain
operated
surgery.
on. Oh yeah, dude. Just the idea that like all the executives watching and he's kind of crying and they're asking him questions like and then they're shocking his brain and
like Bud Cort's putting in this like insane performance on his face and you're just like, man, this is dope.
It's so good. Bud Cort crushes that moment. And again, just the idea that this fucking poor tortured man. And they're just like playing with him, dude, and they're jumping him from place to place. That's fucking scary. Like that scene is beautiful and it's scary. And Bud Cort is playing the fuck out of it. Playing the fuck out of it. Yeah, that's a really horrifying moment, man.
What do you got?
It's hard in movies where you're like, did anything even happen in this movie to pick a messed up moment?
Is it the brain voiceover? Am I dead? I think.
Yeah, him going full Weekend at Bernie's is crazy. Also, the fact that at the end of the movie, they show us that the moment when he took the brain out of the place, that the car that hits him is driven by him. Yeah. So they add this weird time paradox. You're like, maybe that could be it. You know, I'm just going to go with the classic, like, him coming home after a really uncomfortable, like one of the cringiest corporate dinners you've ever seen, where he literally puts a knife to his fucking executive's head and he's like, I'm a purple people. I'm a purple, and he starts saying this bloody suited man. He goes home and just on the kitchen table, just pure disrespect. We were hanging out at a restaurant and I had the lowest moment of my life at a meeting not 20 minutes ago. And I come home and Bill Paxton and my wife are already fucking greased up, candle lit like a Ricky Martin video, fucking on my kitchen table. I think that's justifiable homicide. I think 100% you get to murder them in that point. Like, that was crazy. I was like, the disrespect of, like, we're not even going to fuck in a car or, like, in the bathroom at the restaurant. We're going to come home and fuck on the dinner table.
I love
on top of the fucking most crushing moment of my fucking professional career. That, I was like, yeah, I wanted to see the carnage. I wanted to see them get their eyes punctured out. While they were in the middle of, as they say in Orgasmo, that was some pretty hot action. That's some pretty hot shit. Right?
I'm not queer or nothing. That was pretty hot.
That's pretty hot shit. You better make me come.
You know what? With your headphones on the way they are, you have hair like that right now.
Am I Orgasmo sound guying right now?
Yeah. Hey man, I'm not queer or nothing. That was pretty hot shit.
That was pretty hot shit. I love how he always says that when it's like hetero fucking. You know, it sounds like queer or nothing.
I mean, well, you know, that's those guys. It makes more sense than Brain Dead.
The 90s.
Yeah, so Rex Martin, once a scientist, now a science experiment.
Brain Dead, the story of a TV show that mutated into a kind of a movie.
I'm Rod Serling. I'm not in the Twilight Zone anymore.
I do. Now all I can think about is if Rod Serling could go back and he's like, I have one regret. I needed more tits in all of my shows. Imagine if you just went back to watch a Twilight Zone episode, how fucking jarring it would be if some big old fucking grandma titties fell out.
I can't tell you
imagine
how
you're watching
badly.
like the fucking monsters are on Maple Street or whatever, and some lady just pulled her tits out, and you'd be like, whoa! Like, yeah, welcome to Next Stop Willoughby. And it's just some lady with fucking tassels. You'd be like, this is the wildest, greatest thing of my life.
It would be like the greatest of comedies to go back and have some actor go in and like do a Rod Serling impression, and that happening, go, holy shit. Twilight Zone, everyone.
Look at the yams on Tammy. Unbelievable. The one where they're all stuck in the diner and the alien has the third eye under his hat, but instead it's just a lady who total recalls it and she's got 3 tits, and you're like, whoa! Dude, the titty Twilight Zone is something that AI can help us with. That's one thing that we need AI for. Put in the data centers, destroy a local municipality, and take all their water.
Nightmare at 40,000 feet. You know what helps that? Boobs.
You know what else, though? This is weird. This is like weird. We're just adding this at the end. It's kind of like Brain Dead. We're just starting a new thing. I will say, the Twilight Zone, that's one of the eras where we had the least data on what titties look like at that moment. Like, you know, 70s tits, you can see them, and you're just like, that's a 70s titty. For some reason, they look different.
Yeah.
We have very little visual data of what Twilight Zone era titties would have looked like. The titty Twilight Zone.
My guess is it looks a lot like the Mad Men boobs, like the cone stuff.
That's what they look like on the outside. I'm saying, what were they like underneath the sweaters?
Oh, fascinating.
Like, I want to see the actual, like, people that are now, like, our parents' grandmas, right? Like, what did their tits look like?
Oh,
that's weird.
Interesting. That's real gross, but all right. I'm you know.
That's a weird thing to say. Rod Serling started it, not me. Rod Serling and Brain Dead started it. That's it for Brain Dead. We hope you enjoyed it. Please go to Indiegogo, type in Mr. Cream Jeans. Help us get our first movie out into the world so you can see what some 2020 tits look like. Please go to the Messed Up Movies Podcast Patreon page to help support and grow this show. Please subscribe to Misfit Parade on YouTube and subscribe, listen to our Tales from the Crypt podcast, Keepers of the Crypt. You can also find that wherever you find podcasts. We'll see you next time.
Portrait of a Man, Mr. Josh Griffey, done with a podcast and going to jerk off.